watch this.
It's Friday on the 208. Time for your comments. And boy, did you have a lot to say about the concept of adding a large chunk of Oregon to the state of Idaho. Oh yes, this is a real conversation lawmakers are having. Has technology gone too far? Well, we saw just how far it can go this week. We asked you, the people of Idaho, to read love letters for Valentine's Day. Some we wrote, some a computer did. Could you tell the difference? Strong opinions on social media aren't new, but boy, are they getting aggressive and mean-spirited. We found an example in our backyard, pushing us to ask, why is everyone so angry? Oh, it's Friday. You made it through the week. We're so glad you're with us, and welcome to the 208, where we are going to take a look back on Fridays at the most talked stories, I should say most talked about stories of the week. And this week, Greater Idaho took the cake with the most comments from you at home, the viewers. You had a lot to say. If you missed this, Greater Idaho, it's the plan that involves the state of Idaho absorbing a portion of eastern Oregon. And here it is. This is the proposed map. About a dozen counties in eastern Oregon have already voted in favor of becoming a part of Idaho. Arguments have been made by proponents that the people and land of eastern Oregon, well, would better fit to the politics and culture of the great state of Idaho. This week on Monday, a resolution was in a House committee to authorize the Idaho and Oregon legislatures to begin official discussions on whether it is feasible to move the Idaho border into eastern Oregon. Idaho Representative Barbara Ehart highlighted some of the cultural and policy differences between the states. Here are just two easy examples for you.
We have a little bit of a drug problem right on the side of our border. A lot of Idahoans are going there and getting drugs. That will be pushed hundreds of miles away. We don't want the drugs, and the people you're going to hear from, they voted against the drugs. They don't want them either. We also have, I think, given what the stance Idaho has taken, an abortion clinic that is set up right on the border. Guess what? That's going to be pushed hundreds of miles away. So there's a lot of good things in this that are going to happen if this is something that continues. And I'll just say, as I mentioned, that yes, the other states are watching us. Other states are looking and trying to do the same thing.
So to be clear, it goes far beyond those two topics. Economic and political living factors are also there big time. But we heard public testimony in committee this week, and everyone who testified was in favor of the idea. The committee voted after an extended feedback portion of the meeting, and the conversation it passed went to the full House for conversation. Again, this is just kicking off the conversation between Idaho and Oregon.
We're pleased. This was a great result. It shows that the Idaho legislature, the legislators, they understand this is a solution that makes sense. It's a solution that we need to have this conversation.
So then on Wednesday of this week, we got some real action. The bill, it went to the full House floor for debate.
Why wouldn't we at least want to have a conversation about increasing the size of our state? You know that up until just recently, we've been the #1 fastest growing state in the nation, with a lot of people coming here, and our open areas are becoming less and less apparent. So we would be looking at adding a large landmass to the state of Idaho. Why not have that conversation?
We were limited by Constitution to 35 members, 35 districts, as I recall. And if we added that much area and that many people, suddenly it would go to almost nearly 70,000 people per district, which means each of our districts would have to be that much bigger. So I will be voting no on the bill.
I've been getting along here as part of a 17% minority. I work with everybody. We work with everybody. This is not the direction America should be taking. We should not be self-segregating by ideology like this. I think we're on a path to civil war if we keep going down this path. We have got to learn to get along better and work together better. The answer cannot be to just start carving up the country and redrawing lines that have been in place for a century or more just so that we can only be surrounded by people that perfectly agree with us. I think this is an unfortunate direction for America, for Idaho, and for all concerned. And I hope that someday we move in an America that moves away from the current wave of partisanship. I think this exacerbates a dangerous direction that America is moving in.
It's been interesting because the 11 counties in Oregon have actually gone through the formal process of holding votes within their county to say, let's proceed. America's actually watching. We're not the only state looking to do this. There are many states throughout the union right now looking to do the same thing. It's just that ours has received more national publicity and we've received more attraction. So all we want to do, Mr. Speaker and friends, is have a conversation.
So the idea passed the Idaho House 41-28. So it now heads over to the Idaho Senate first on the committee level. And to be very clear about this whole conversation, the legislative question and vote that we just talked about, it's only a question to lawmakers. Should they have official conversations on the topic with the Oregon legislature? Yes or no? Now, this whole thing would still need to be approved by both state legislatures and the United States Congress. And, you know, we got some comments here also from the people in Congress. You want to know how seriously the members of Congress are taking it? Well, United States Congressman out of Oregon representing the Portland area, Earl Blumenauer, well, they said in this quote, "I would entertain a trade for Boise and Sun Valley," end quote. So we'll see how seriously this is taken outside of the state of Idaho. But a lot of you here in the state had strong opinions about Greater Idaho, and this is what you're saying about it this week. Kurt in Boise said, "Western Oregon should form its own state. Our legislature needs to focus on Idaho, not some other state politics." Darren said, "Idaho is already great. We do not need a Greater Idaho border change for Oregon to tell us so." Dan and Ebbett said, "As a former Western Oregonian, I vote yes. This is a perfect match." Steve said, "There's a lot of U.S. and Eastern Oregon that are not in favor of us moving the border. If you like Idaho, move. Otherwise, leave the rest of us alone." And Ginny said, "Many people now in Idaho do not want more conservative Oregon population. Must we all move to a state that has our political leanings? Very bad precedent." And Steve said, "How about putting the Greater Idaho to the vote of the people of Idaho and Oregon?" Stan in Twin Falls said, "So if the legislature is considering discussions with Oregon about boundary changes, are they ready for discussions with Utah about Eastern Idaho or Washington about Northern Idaho?" And Betty said, "The Oregonians who want to be a part of Idaho are okay with paying 6% of sale tax on everything, right?" I don't know about that. And there's an incredible amount of work and agreement that this idea would need to clear, but we'll just keep an eye on this one for now. Okay, depending on where you live in Idaho, there are some local decisions for you to make coming up on March 14th. Yes, the school bond and levy elections are about a month out, and the ballot questions will vary from county to county, but voters will be asked to approve funding measures to benefit local projects for schools. For example, voters in the Kuna School District area will vote on financing construction of a new elementary school, renovations and additions to Kuna Middle School and Fremont Middle School, construction on additional classroom rings, athletic additions, construction on bus facilities, all kinds of maintenance projects. So a lot of things for the voters in Kuna, for example, to vote on. Of course, though, voters will consider if they want to approve those projects in their area at the cost, higher taxes. So that is March 14th, and we have a great voter guide up right now at ktvb.com with what is on the ballot in your area. You can see this is exactly what you'll see, and there is an important deadline, though, that we wanted to mention to you coming up here in the next few hours. The last day to register to vote online is today, Friday, February 17th, and you have until 11:59 p.m. tonight to get that online registration done on the Vote Idaho website. And if you missed that deadline, it's okay. You can still register at early in-person voting or election day at your polling place. Now, the online registration deadline is particularly important for those of you that want to vote absentee. That is because absentee ballots can be requested through March 3rd, but only if you've registered or updated your registration by today, February 17th at 11:59 p.m. Again, go check out the great KTVB voter guide right now. Just a quick note, we're only waiting on some information on the Horseshoe Bend School District supplemental levy. Boise County tells us they are waiting for their ballots to be finalized and returned to them. Well, this week we marked Valentine's Day. Hope you enjoyed that, or didn't, your choice. But maybe you wanted to write a card or a message to a loved one, but you didn't quite know what to say. Well, this year, an artificial intelligence, an AI language model called ChatGPT, was here to help. ChatGPT can generate the perfect love letter, because of course it can. Yes, computers can do it all now. But just how good is ChatGPT? Better than a human written note? Well, on Tuesday, the day of love, Andrew Bartline found out.
It's good to see you.
There's a lot of pressure to get it right,
Happy Valentine's Day.
starting with the arrangements.
What else would we be doing today?
But for Dorothy Hope,
This is for Virginia.
it doesn't end there.
You're welcome.
The hallmark of the holiday is the arrangement
You mean the enclosure card?
of the words.
Enclosure cards, yeah.
These cards tend to need a little help
Generally, yes.
because the customer
It generally mostly is men.
tends to practice a pattern.
Happy Valentine's Day, love your husband. So we try to help him out with that.
But after so many Valentines,
It's been 38 years,
Hope Bloom's flowers could use some help too.
so I'm not gonna lie, I have turned to that chat AI thing a couple of times when I've been stumped.
Cybersecurity company McAfee says 1 in 3 men plan to do the same.
No,
This year's
no.
Valentine's Day.
No, we're never apart.
But could Kevin White
Celebrating 44 years next month.
tell them apart?
You are the perfect partner in every sense, and I love you more with each passing day. Oh, it just says everything. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
A robot wrote that.
Really?
A computer. Turns out, you like that one the most?
I think so.
Why do you like that one? A lot like the robot.
It just kind of, it resonates a bit with me. So I really do feel lucky to have my wife by my side.
But placed side by side,
Oh, for sure.
a personal touch still stands out.
You know how to make me laugh when I want to cry, support me when I want to fly. You're always there to get me by. Happy Valentine's Day, my love.
Ben Charles picked a letter written by our producer, Katie.
I was pilot in the Navy, so I'm pilot for FedEx now. So I fly all the time.
Like flowers,
Yeah, can you hand me a couple?
the words are just an arrangement.
We used to just say it with flowers, so now you can say it with AI and chat GPI or whatever it is.
It's all influenced by genuine intentions.
As long as you have some input to it, it kind of just polishes it up a little bit, I guess.
And just another tool to get it right.
When you're not a Hallmark entity, it helps a lot, so.
Well, the flower shop said that they liked ChatGPT's responses and might even use them, even though Dorothy saw that, she had the right letters. There was ChatGPT, but we're all good sports about it. She was pretty good at knowing what was and wasn't fake, and we had ChatGPT even write Brian's wife a love letter for Valentine's Day. He had to scratch out the enter spouse's name section. He wrote her name in right over it. But what did you people at home think about it? Well, Dale said, my robot wife loved it when I made dinner for tonight. Just saying. There you go. Oh, and we asked ChatGPT to also comment on this story. Here's the official response. It says, as an AI language model, ChatGPT is skilled at generating a wide range of text, including romantic messages such as love letters. Oh yes, we talk to ChatGPT all the time. So anyways, it might not be as creative, but boy, it gets the job done. Let us know any fun things you've done with ChatGPT. Send us a text message.
I hope you're living this sunshine. It's all out there here on Skycam 7. Let me show you what's going to happen tomorrow. Here's the Futurecast. So tomorrow we're going to start out with some clouds. Will be increasing during the day and a little light snow is possible later tomorrow afternoon between 4:30 to 5 o'clock. So just watch for that. Here's the first storm through. It's lighter snow. This one happens to be heavier snow. So let me show you what's going to do in the mountains. I don't think we're going to see a lot here in the valley, but the first storm system could be about an inch or two to McCall. And then after that, it could be another 2, 3, 4 inches as we get into the first part of next week. Not as much as Stanley, and still Haley looking for some snow showers. So in your 7-day forecast, there's the chance of snow for tomorrow afternoon, pretty much dry on Sunday. Look for a few showers early Monday, but the biggest storm is coming in Tuesday and Wednesday. That's the one that'll produce some pretty good snow in the mountains. Here in the valley, it's likely snow in the morning with a mixture of rain during the day. And look how the temperatures drop as you get into Thursday and Friday. Again, we're back into the 30s.
All right, thank you, Rick. Back to the 30s. You heard the man. All right, let's take a step back. Let's relax. Here we go. How about this? Remember when Facebook first came out? Remember that way back when? Well, it seemed that Facebook, it really was a naive time at the beginning, filled with sharing photos, connecting with friends, finding old connections, maybe watering your digital crops. How many of you remember Farmville? You remember that game? Well, those days are long gone, and it seems that social media has gone in a dark and negative direction in recent years. Maybe we forgot there's someone on the other end reading what we say, yeah, including the messages we send back and forth with you. But we took a Meridian woman, for example, who was just trying to bring joy into someone else's life with a Facebook post. Well, she was instead lambasted with rude and unkind remarks. Brian Holmes has the story.
It was just an innocent post on Facebook Marketplace in late January.
I was trying to sell a hairless doll that was my grandmother's for $40.
Angie Battle was assisting her mom and sister, which explains the disclaimer. I'm helping my 75-year-old mom sell this doll of my grandmother's.
Because they don't understand how to sell things online. So
the doll, an antique, a hairless heirloom, if you will, and included this confession.
Apparently it got burned off when it got too close to a wood stove when she was little.
But there was another line in the posting that kind of alludes to why we're doing this story.
We've had plenty of advice to keep this doll, but trust me, we've kept plenty, and we are just hoping a doll collector will get some joy from her.
Exactly.
Because this wasn't the first time Angie posted this picture of her grandmother's doll.
I kept having to change it to try to get people to quit yelling at me for selling this doll.
Screaming in social media standards.
I see this just the first posting. Selling an heirloom for $40 is crazy. That's the first thing somebody says.
Yes. The very first time I posted it, I ended up deleting the original post because people were just so nasty. There wasn't one person that was like, that's a good buy.
Really?
Yeah. One of the very first guys said, I don't believe it. She's looking for dope money.
Oh, sure, there are those who ask the basic questions mixed with the mundane comments, but woven into those were a spiral of sour.
And then Michelle Christie says, why would you sell something with such sentimental value?
And outright snide remarks.
Bob Cooper, some people have no connection to a memory or a person, gone and forgotten. It's all about what can I get for their stuff. And it becomes this conversation that is no longer about the doll, but then everybody pointing fingers at each other and saying, what about you? But you said, you don't even know. Oh yeah? Who are you?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know if people just don't have anything better to do with their time or if they're just insensitive jerks. I don't have any idea.
Or both.
Could be, yeah. It's sad that social media has come to this. I remember when Facebook came out and it was such a place of joy and reconnecting with people. And now it's just like, who can I make miserable that day?
When all Angie was trying to do was make someone happy with something nobody in her family wanted anymore.
We did finally find a lady. She was so happy to get it. And she was even appalled. She's like, I can't believe how many people were so nasty to you.
But as I've learned on social media, sometimes it's best to just ignore that kind of stuff.
I tried so hard. And then I had another person say, and I got multiple ones of these to some lines like, you're completely insensitive. You had no connection to your grandmother.
And these are the ones you
She'd
deleted.
be devastated to know you were selling her things. Yes.
And that's the part that hurts Angie the most. None of those posters knew Angie, and certainly not her grandmother.
And my grandma, before she passed away, was trying to give away everything in her house.
Sadly, Angie admits she's come to expect this kind of behavior from social media. Just not from her neighbors.
You know, I grew up in Kuna in a tiny town, and people were so nice to each other. And it's just sad that people feel entitled to act like this. Sorry.
That's okay.
Angie says even her grandmother would find all this fuss over her doll ridiculous.
But yeah, I mean, she really did. She wanted people to find joy in her things, and that's what we were trying to do. And I think what people don't realize when they're so mean on social media, that there's real people behind that. And I don't know, like, I'm crying now probably because I'm more sentimental about my grandma, but they just don't need to be that way. Idaho has definitely changed.
So the point of this story is best summed up by what Angie said when she sat down with us. These are real people behind these posts, and while some may be desensitized to demeaning comments, many are not, and that's good, right? Emotions and feelings are still vital to being a human being. So here's a message to take into your weekend. The next time you feel the need to comment on someone's social media post and include a judgment about what they are doing or why they're doing it, or maybe they shouldn't, how about just don't? Just keep going. And also, let's not be so mean. And many of you felt the same way. Chris said to us, how truly sad is it that we are now just having to constantly remind people just to be kind? So sad. Jenny said people have forgotten the adage, if you don't have something to say that's nice, don't say anything at all. It is sad. Dan in Boise said, after going through several family members' things after their deaths, to find someone who finds joy in their treasures is priceless. We can't keep everything and find happiness in those who appreciate what brings joy to their hearts. Tracy said, dear Angie, the hallmark of a loving and caring mind and heart is that one's ideas do not make up their identity. These people are themselves by their opinions, which leads to criticism and anger. Sending you love today, and I'd buy the doll, but I'm not a doll gal. Deborah in Meridian said, thank you for Angie's story. Today's the day for love was the perfect day to say love and kindness for all. I remember to tell my children as they went out each day, every singing time, remember you are a child with an honorable name, be kind. And Deborah's right. Please be kind, even to the people on the other side of the computer screen. We'll be back with your comments in a few minutes. All right, let's take a look at your comments to end the week. Let's go to the comment Tron 7000. This person says, Eastern Oregon does not get represented by Oregon legislature and they get railroaded by liberal agendas. That's why they're looking to Idaho. Your reporting doesn't even address that for Mark. Mark, I appreciate the comment. I'll disagree with you. I think we have included that, but Mark is correct. There are people in Eastern Oregon that really believe the Western Oregon, really liberal leanings, don't represent them out in their side of the state. So that's why they want to join Idaho. Good comment there for Mark, though. I appreciate that. This person says, kudos to Representative Rubel. We do not need to draw new lines in Idaho. That's Patrick in Nampa. Patrick, thank you so much for the message here. This person says, I agree they should bring this Greater Idaho on a ballot and see what all the citizens want in Oregon and Idaho, not just a few, from Bob. I'd love to see what that vote would look like. And this person says, I asked ChatGPT for the winning lottery numbers. It failed. Susan Ellen Meridian. Susan, I hope you do better next time. And then a lot of you said this, Joe, please fix the 7 on your jacket. I did, just for you. I was reading your comments during the show. All right, have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.